Today I'd like to look back at my favorite Mandela effect of all time and see what has changed since I first talked about it. It's been over 3 years, so what's new? What's the same? Has anything changed? And what strange details have I found along the way? The Black Tom Explosion. Let's check it out. First, let me set the historical scene. This major catastrophic event happened in 1916, and publicly, allegedly, everyone knew about it. Even though it was never taught in school or talked about, there were no articles in magazines, nothing written in books or mentions in encyclopedias. No TV shows talked about it or movies reenacted it, but apparently it was widely known to the public for over a century. I guess everyone forgot about it. It's amazing. It's one of the most important events in modern American history that completely changed the path and direction of the United States of America, but somehow everyone just forgot about it. The Black Tom Explosion is my favorite Mandela effect because of the sheer absurdity of it all. No one remembers the first terrorist attack in American history. No one remembers that it created the Espionage Act. No one remembers that it was the reason the United States of America jumped into World War I. It's apparently even the reason you can't climb into the torch of the Statue of Liberty. The effects of it are felt everywhere, but somehow no one remembers ever hearing about this until a few years ago. You see, I originally covered this effect back in my New York Mandela effects video from June 8th, 2019. I've wanted to do a more in-depth video on this topic for a long time, but other projects always got in the way. Lucky for you, I just finished my Lost Media video, so why not? Let's jump back into a topic I've been dying to talk about again. Back when I first covered this, information, videos, pictures, maps, details, all of this was extremely scarce. I mean, they were hard to find. It took hours and hours and hours of research to collect what little I could find. Every single detail and image that I could find, I put into my New York video. So to start this off, I'm going to show you a clip from that video, and then we'll come back and talk about what has changed. Trust me, you'll be surprised by just how much is different now. The Black Tom Explosion. I consider myself a massive history buff who's addicted to documentaries and historical accounts of previous events and wars. I can't get enough of this stuff. So the most troubling Mandela effect to me is what is considered the first terrorist attack in America. No, it wasn't Pearl Harbor. No, it wasn't 9/11. It was a German attack on American soil all the way back in 1916. Sound familiar? It doesn't to me. The setting is July 30th, 1916 in Jersey City, New Jersey, on Black Tom Island. Black Tom Island was a major ammunition and small arms depot providing arms to allies during World War I. 2 German agents working there posing as guards set off small fires all over the island, eventually setting off millions of pounds of explosives. This is called the Black Tom Explosion. Now, the strange part about this Mandela effect is, because it is so big and so important, it causes massive ramifications throughout time. So it not only changes this one point in history, but it changes multiple things, and we're going to get into that as we go on. The first of which is now we're told that this is the turning point as to why the US joined World War I. But I was always told it was because of the sinking of the Lusitania. So it feels like a weird retcon of history for me, but what do you think? If this was just a simple attack, sure, I could accept possibly that I'd never heard of it, but it gets stranger. The explosion was so big that it would have registered as a 5 to a 5.5 earthquake on the Richter scale. It was felt as far away as Philadelphia and Maryland. This explosion destroyed more than 100 rail cars, 13 warehouses, and left a 375-foot by 175-foot crater in the ground. The damage was estimated to be $20 million back then, which is now closer to $470 million when adjusted for inflation. Amazingly enough, only 5 people died, although thousands were injured. Now here is where New York comes into this Mandela effect. Every window in a 25-mile radius was completely shattered, including thousands in Lower Manhattan and Times Square. The Brooklyn Bridge was shaken. But the most troubling piece of information is that the Statue of Liberty was greatly damaged as a result of the Black Tom Explosion. What? Is this the Twilight Zone? The Statue of Liberty's torch-holding arm was greatly damaged by shrapnel and actually resulted in a closing down to the public, supposedly. But we'll get to that in a minute. The damage to Lady Liberty's arm and skirt was estimated to be $100,000 back then, which today would be over $2.3 million. I grew up pre and post 9/11. After that attack, terrorism is all anyone could talk about. How is it that despite that, I never once heard about the Black Tom Explosion? Especially considering that the attack on the World Trade Center in 2001 was touted as being the first major attack on domestic soil. Why was the Black Tom Explosion not mentioned during the extensive coverage of attacks to the US? Not a single mention, not a single reporter or news anchor back then brought up the Black Tom explosion. There wasn't a single, "Today we remember the explosion on Black Tom Island." Nothing. There's nothing about it in the news. Even on YouTube, there are only so many videos about this topic. I'd say less than 30, maybe more than 20. The oldest of those videos is only 7 years old. Even the comments on that video were people asking, "What is this? I've never heard of this before. I was never taught this. This never happened." It's a pretty interesting read. I could very easily go on and on about this particular Mandela effect because it fascinates me to no end. But I want to know what you think. Do you remember learning or hearing about this German attack on our country that led us to World War I? Is this a Mandela effect for you? As always, let's hear it in the comments below. Now that you're up to speed with the Black Tom explosion, let's revisit Google and YouTube and see what changes have occurred in the last 3 or so years since I made that video. First up are the results when you search up Black Tom explosion or the Black Tom explosion on Google. This is the exact same Google account I used to look up the information I used in that video all those years ago, and look at the difference now. If you see purple text, that means I have clicked on that at some point in time. If it's blue text, that means I have never clicked it. The first result is a Wikipedia link. That comes up first and was clicked on me by today, not back then. Back then, a Wikipedia page for the Black Tom explosion didn't exist. I looked up and clicked on this link earlier today when I was considering talking about this topic again. After looking at that page for a while, I returned to the results and realized that there was so much blue, so many links that either weren't visible to me back then or didn't exist. I was stunned, so I took a screenshot of this and the next few pages of Google results. After looking through page after page, a grand total of 3 links had been clicked by me, one of which was by me today, the Wikipedia page. The other 2, history.com and cfr.org, both existed back then. None of this other stuff did, or at least didn't come up in the Google results back then. I'm kicking myself now for not screenshotting this 3 years ago. Could you imagine the before and after? Hear me when I say this. The results for the Black Tom explosion back then were drier than the desert. I mean, there was nothing. All those pictures you saw in the original clip, that was literally everything I could find at the time. I scraped into the wood of the bottom of the barrel to get those photographs and maps. It's the reason that I held on each image as long as I did. I needed those photos and maps to cover the amount of audio that I had recorded. So why am I talking about this? Well, all of this to make a point. What was seemingly unknown to even the internet is now a fully fleshed out and well-known event in history. It's got all the search results, images, and web pages that any other well-known historical event would have. It's just weird to me to know for a fact that it wasn't always this way. I was there. I even made a video on it. There was next to nothing before. And if someone was to look it up today, they would be none the wiser. I would sound irrational and out of my mind. They would say, "What are you talking about, all time? It's all right here." That reason is why I'm making this video. So next I went to photos to see if more had somehow materialized or been found, and yep, infinite photos, maps, and details. Pictures of leftover shells, diving photos, new pictures of the damage, the Statue of Liberty, new photos of all of it. It's so weird, especially to me. I've spent so much time researching this stuff that when I find something new, it sticks out like a sore thumb. You don't know how many times during the creation of this very video I said aloud, "Wait, is this new? Oh my god, this is new!" Stuff like this fascinates me to no end. It's like a bottomless mystery. In the clip I played earlier, I mentioned, even on YouTube there are only so many videos about this topic. I'd say less than 30, maybe more than 20. So here is a concrete, definitive thing we can look into. Less than 30, maybe more than 20 videos on YouTube. Well, I just counted every video relating specifically to the Black Tom explosion, and I stopped at 71. Not because it ended there, but because I think we all get the point. It's well known now, or at least a lot more well known than it was before. And here's the thing, people creating videos on this interesting topic isn't evidence of anything. That's to be expected. It's a really cool topic to talk about. But what is extremely weird is that there is now video footage of the Black Tom explosion, uploaded in 2013. Apparently, in my extensive hours and hours of researching this, I just never happened to find this clip. Okay, sure, you know what, I'll even grant that, maybe I missed this one. If it was just one hard to find clip, I'd accept that defeat. I'd own up to my failings, but it's not. It's right there in the search results, and it isn't just one. In 2018, from the same channel, there is footage of fire, rioting, and looting in the aftermath of the Black Tom explosion. I'm sorry, what? We now have footage of the actual event and the terrifying aftermath? The explosion, the fire, rioting, and looting? And that's not all. Reuters, as well as the British Path, also have footage of the Black Tom explosion now. Apparently we have all of this footage from a variety of sources publicly available right there in the search results here on YouTube before I ever uploaded my first video. I just don't know what to say. I'm stunned. Then things became even weirder if you can imagine it. In my New York video, I said 5 people died and thousands were injured. This wasn't just some number that I made up. This was corroborated between every website and video I could find at the time. This was the exact number all of them said. None of them said anything different. But now, Wikipedia, the CIA, and FBI all say 4, not 5. Weirder yet, there's an official Coast Guard video talking about the Black Tom explosion, and in that it says that 7 people died.
7 people died in the attack.
Oh, but wait, I found an article mentioning September 11th in relation to the Black Tom explosion. Finally, someone else besides me has made the connection. That's right, I found an article from September 2001. And this article goes on to repeat the exact same talking points that I've said a million times, except for one differing detail. One detail was different. The author says, quote, "The Black Tom death toll was mercifully low, 50 at most." Huh? Wait, now it's 50? 50 people died? So it wasn't 5, it was 4. It wasn't 4, it was 7. It wasn't 7, it was 50. And that's low? That's on the low end? What was the high end? Come on, history, get your story straight. What's interesting too is all of the new entertainment media surrounding the Black Tom explosion. I say new, but maybe I should really say totally existed but no one remembers it existing, but it was recently rediscovered. For example, there is a PBS show called History Detectives. Now this show had an entire episode on a woman who had a shell that apparently survived the Black Tom explosion. The way the story plays out is that the woman had the shell in her family dating back all the way to when the Black Tom explosion happened. She knew this not just because of the stories that had been passed down to her over the generations, but also because of a passed down handwritten note which reads, "Black Tom explosion of 1914. A little bit off on that date. I've also noticed that in every article and video regarding this topic, everyone is so surprised how little known the Black Tom explosion actually is, about how little press coverage it got, or how unknown this major attack was, or how often it was forgotten, etc. I've yet to find a single piece of media talking about this event as if anyone had ever heard of it before. Every article and video sounds like it's a new thing they just discovered and they want to be the first to share it with the world. For this being in the public eye for over a century, 100+ years, it's flooring how little it's known. Watching this PBS episode about this shell and the event is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. The history detective is constantly blown away by how little she knows about this event, how no one talks about it. Here's a series of clips taken from that broadcast to accentuate my point.
Black Tom is little known and strangely faded from history. I'm curious why this major story received such minor press coverage, although the 1916 blast must also have sown widespread panic and fear. I'd never heard of the disaster.
There were explosions at munitions depots in Ohio and in Missouri and in Detroit and in Delaware. This happened to be the biggest one.
On Ellis Island, shrapnel rained down for over 3 hours.
How many people died in the explosion?
The official death toll was 6. But you got to remember, this is the time where it's at the height of immigration, at Ellis Island, and there were hundreds of people living in boats and barges in the harbor here who the police speculate literally turned to dust.
This is the common thread with everything regarding the Black Tom explosion. And honestly, it makes me raise an eyebrow. What about you? Have you ever heard of the Black Tom explosion before this video, or my last video on it? Digging deeper into this, I looked for references to the Black Tom explosion, specifically in media related to World War I. My thought process was there has to be something out there that mentioned it, right? Well, I found a reference in a video game of all things. Battlefield 1, a first-person shooter game released in 2016, has a codex entry about the Black Tom explosion in it. It's a short little blurb you unlock after watching a certain explosion on a mountainside. Now this little blurb is nothing special. It's a tiny detail. It's a throwaway piece of information. But I find it interesting because finally this event is starting to leak into more mainstream and widely experienced media. I'm calling it right now. It's only a matter of time before this becomes a movie or is featured in a TV show. When that day comes, I want you to think of me. After that, I started looking into sources for details regarding the Black Tom explosion. If it was as publicly and widely known as everyone keeps repeating like a broken record, then there would be numerous sources to read up on and investigate, right? Nope. Outside of the CIA and the FBI websites, there are shockingly few, and I mean shockingly few. The oldest source that I could find, outside of straight up scans of newspapers, is a book called The Enemy Within, The Inside Story of German Sabotage in America by Henry Landau. Henry was a British Army officer and served in France during World War I, when the Black Tom explosion actually happened. After the war, he took a post within MI6, but grew bored of it and moved on with his life. He immigrated to the US in 1923 and became a citizen in 1933. During the 1930s, Henry wrote a series of books about his time as a spy, all of which were published in the United States to avoid prosecution under the Official Secrets Act, the British legislation which punishes the sharing of official state secrets. Henry was ready to spill secrets for financial gain, but he didn't want to deal with the ramifications. As it turns out, Henry got away with it, and eventually landed a good job working as an investigator for the Federal Works Agency and in the U.S. Maritime Commission. In regards to MI6 and the British government, Henry Landau was considered persona non grata, as in a person who had had their diplomatic immunity from arrest and prosecution removed. I think it's pretty interesting that Henry got away with all of it and was happily accepted into the US. It makes you wonder, but that's a mystery and a story for another time. Henry's book was published in 1937, a total of 21 years after the Black Tom explosion, by someone that wasn't there. He wasn't even in the country when it happened. This is the oldest source listed regarding the Black Tom explosion, anywhere. This is it. A book that came out 21 years after the fact by a former British man who wasn't even in America when it happened. The words that Henry wrote in that book have been used to source this event in almost everything written about it ever since. The Black Tom explosion is an incredible event in regards to history. It was destructive, deadly, and future-altering. Now, I'm not here to tell you this didn't happen, or that it wasn't real. As it stands now, apparently this event happened, and seemingly everyone forgot. This is a Mandela effect because collectively, no one remembered this. Mandela effect changes don't just change in one direction. Just as a movie can disappear, or a logo can now seem altered, history can be modified as well. This major event feels like it was created and inserted into our collective history, and slowly people have become aware of this event and shrugged. Regardless of how you feel or what your take on all this is, we can all agree that this is an amazing topic to talk about. It's thought-provoking, in-depth, and filled with twists and turns. This major historical event that created lasting changes to our world was somehow forgotten by everyone until just a few years ago. It went from having no coverage at all to having a small amount when I made my last video to now having a massive amount of information available. It's weird and there's a lot I don't understand about it, but I love talking about it and I hope you enjoyed listening to it. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and check out my Patreon. I'm All Time. Until next time, never stop searching.